this shirt don't fit like it used to, and I need another notch on my belt. If you're looking for a six-pack, muscled up kind of man, better look somewhere else. Yeah, I can stand to lose a few pounds, but for right now, I'm working on my dad bod.
It's bacon time, everybody, and welcome to Dads with Bacon, Talking Sports, our weekly Thursday night talk show. We are ready to get this hot oven cooking tonight. So let's go ahead and get our panel in tonight. Hailing from the East Coast, Big TJ Cothern. How you doing, big guy? How you doing?
About your damn luck.
There's our cowboy. TJ, out the Cowboys. They got to prove themselves.
Hey, you know what? I'm excited for this weekend. I think the biggest news for me today, my boy's coming back for his senior year, so I'm happy.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Who's your big boy? Who you talking about today?
Quinn Ewers.
All right. Hey, shout out to Quentin Ewers this evening. Hey, hopefully you can follow our Dads with Bacon channel and give us a watch tonight. Next, we got big Chi-Town Marco. Hot take Marco. How's it going, big guy? Oh, the Chiefs Nation is getting ready.
Baby.
They're going to need all the heat on Sunday night. It's going to be nice and chilly. They shouldn't even talk about trying to get them out of the cold. No, it's not going to happen. Cold night in DC.
I guess the Finns are practicing with the AC up to the max. It's like 65 in their practice facility. They're trying to acclimate. It's not going to be enough. They're not going to have enough. But I hope they don't move the game. That's what I'm worried about.
No, they're not going to move the game. There have been colder games in crazier conditions. So bundle up, Chiefs fans. It's going to be a nipply one. All right, next we got, I wonder how he's doing after losing his coach this week. Lost the ring general, lost the captain of the ship, or so they thought. Bringing him 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 titles. Brandon, big dog, what do you think about the Belichick move?
It's a happy day, man. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, so we got some excitement out east. We got some excitement in Boston. All right. Not the response I was thinking I'd be getting. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now to my arch nemesis, the ringleader of them all, man up north. I've got a debt to pay to Mr. Bacon himself. Aaron, how's it going this evening, dude?
Go, Pat, go!
Great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Slightly
Go,
disappointed.
Pat, go.
Yeah, enough of that stuff. Yeah, a little disappointed after last week, but again, your Packers are one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs.
They are, and I was surprised as well that it was more of a defensive game than it was. I think we had talked about being more of a high-scoring game because I didn't really have a whole lot of faith in our defense, and I was proven wrong, thankfully. So.
Right on. And well, our final attendee tonight, he's only going to be with us for a little bit because unfortunately he's feeling a little under the weather, but hey, this guy deserves all his flowers. Troy, hey, man, hail. Look, Michigan is back on top, man. How you feeling?
Hail to the victors. Champions of the West. They need to change that. Champions of the world. That's what they need to change that to.
That's great
man.
stuff.
Feels good. But in the same breath, it's like, man, this feels awesome, to be to have a national championship team that you can root for like that. But like all of a sudden, as soon as that game over, like everybody's like, okay, where's Harbaugh going? Where's he going? So it's like, it's frustrating because you feel like he's built something there. He has such a good culture going, and everybody loves him. The players all love him, and now it looks like he's going to be gone. So, and unfortunately, I think, if they do move on from him, it looks like it's Sharon Moore's job to lose at this point because he basically came in and did everything that was asked of him as a head coach. But I just don't see him being the long-term answer. So I don't know. We'll live in the glory for the moment, though. But I have a feeling within a couple weeks we'll be hearing that Harbaugh's gone to the NFL.
So yeah, a lot of speculation early on. I mean, shoot, they're not even letting the champagne get flat before they start saying whether Harbaugh is going to be leaving town. And I mean, let's kind of figure this out though. Is the final score was 31-14, 31-13,
34-13, wasn't it?
34.
34-13.
Yeah.
And really, that was a close game all the way up until the early, even mid fourth quarter when
It was.
there was a big holding penalty that took place when Washington had like a 30-yard first down. They were making a drive. So, I mean, what were your emotions like, Troy, watching that game when Washington's driving, game's close, and the Natty's on the line?
It was eerily similar to the Alabama game. It really was, because you felt like that first half they dominated, and they're only up by in this instance they were up by 6. They were only up by 3 against Alabama, and you felt like they should have been up by multiple scores, and it was really scary because all it takes is somebody to go into the halftime, make their adjustments, and they come out a whole new team, and the game switches, and that's almost what happened with Alabama, to be honest, until that late drive when did Harbaugh go for it, like 4th and 1 or something on his own 30 or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, though, the score outside of those 2 big runs, I felt like it could have been a closer game or even a Washington lead. But then you notice like Michigan was able to sustain some drives and get some stuff done, so maybe they wouldn't have been able to stop them. But it was really those 2 outside of the first half and those 200 yards rushing. You're like, wait a minute, these guys are still in it. And Pac-10 football is like, don't turn it off because they're going to score. And so, but then that fourth quarter really sealed the deal.
And I hit my parlay, so that's awesome.
Hey, all the better. So,
and I'll be honest too. I feel like if the Washington on offense, they had some big drops by some of their receivers, and Penix had some really bad throws a few different times. That I mean, you look at, you could probably, and if I went back and actually watched the replay of the game, it's like you could probably find 5 or 6 plays that if Penix throws a better pass or if the receivers hold on to it, it's a closer game. I would agree. I mean, they had a couple big plays right to start the game early on in the game to get 14 quick points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stalled. I think even Troy, I think there were even a couple times in our group chat that I think, what was it, Marco or somebody was saying, "Hey, Troy, you got to wake up and get your boys, to wake up again," because they just kind of stalled.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what the hell happened to their offense? So, but it was, I enjoyed it, and I would agree that the actual game was a lot closer than what the final score said.
Yeah, definitely was. I 100% agree too. I mean, what this is a 3-score game at that point, and it didn't 3-score game at all in that game. So,
same thing with the Alabama game too. Alabama's lucky that Michigan should have really trolled Alabama in that role.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, they should have been up by multiple scores in the first half of that Alabama game.
So even that game, that score doesn't even say how that game was going. I mean, Michigan was almost trying to lose it for themselves.
Yeah, and it had me worried because it felt very reminiscent of the TCU game. Obviously, not as much scoring going on, but the same thing where you're letting a team that you're better than just hang around. And next thing you know, there it goes. I mean, that's all it takes. And I know you guys are going to get an NFL talk earlier too, and I'm not going to be hanging around for that, but that really has me worried about the Bills this weekend too, because the Steelers are that type of team. And now with the wind elements and the weathers and everything like that coming in, like you get a team like Pittsburgh that doesn't turn the ball over and lets you beat yourselves. And let's face it, Josh Allen does that sometimes. That scares me a little bit this weekend. So
they're not afraid to play in the cold either. Pittsburgh's played in some cold games, so I don't really think the weather's going to affect them as much.
Now, I've heard that they might move the game. Has anybody else heard that?
I heard that too, but I don't believe that. I don't. I mean, other than a blizzard, when a blizzard has actually happened, when have they ever moved a game? I really don't know. Have they?
If anything,
or a stadium issue.
Just a hurricane. I don't know if they really.
Right.
I mean, that windstorm where Mac Jones literally threw a pass one time, that game was so windy.
Actually, he was 2 for 3 for 16 yards.
Even better. It felt like he only passed the ball one time because literally all we did was just run the ball.
Yeah.
Run.
It was crazy.
That wind was insane.
Yep. Yeah. And actually, just a quick follow up on that point there too. Like the Bills didn't really throw the ball much either until the second half of that game. Josh Allen ended up going 15 of 30 for 186 yards and a touchdown in that game. So he kind of proved that he can throw it in the wind a little bit. So hopefully they use that to their advantage this week.
One team has Josh Allen, one team has Mac Jones.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's face it. That's one of the reasons they drafted a guy like that, because you need somebody that can throw it through the wind up there. So,
yep.
But anyway, we'll stick to. I don't know what you guys have coming up next, but yeah, hail to the victors. That was amazing. Go Blue. I'm just really sad because I feel like next year the schedule gets tougher and.
Big Ten teams that are coming in this year, and it's going to be weird thinking that, like, when you talk about this national championship moving, like, let's say a decade and a half in the future, like, oh yeah, that was between two Big Ten teams, and it's just going to be confusing for people. And but I think it's going to be good. And it's kind of wrapping up. TJ, haven't heard from you yet, man. So, or was this outcome just what you thought? Did you think that Michigan would end up trouncing, kind of taking that last bit of air out of Washington? And what do you think?
So, it was funny because Marco and I were on. We were watching it live together for 3 hours. It was a fun Monday night, and definitely regret a little bit because I'm tired as hell that next day. But honestly, dude, I thought Washington would honestly do a lot better. I thought they would score a little bit more. It looked like Penix kind of shit his pants, not gonna lie. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to play in a big game. Like, no offense to the Pac-12, what was the Pac-12, now don't know what it's going to be. That's not big enough for him to play. Like, yeah, he beat Texas in the Sugar Bowl, but it's not the biggest game, for him to play. So I think he was very underwhelming, and I was very upset. But for Michigan to win it, I'm very happy. Like I told Troy, I got one of the kids I used to coach lacrosse in. He plays at Michigan for football, so he actually sent me a photo of everybody with the championship trophy. And they all got cowboy hats while they were down in Houston, so that was awesome.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. Well, Troy, hey, we know you're feeling under the weather, man.
Thanks, guys.
We wish you all the best. Hope you feel better soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good show.
Enjoy the flowers, brother. Enjoy the flowers.
Kick ass, boys.
My friend is watching, and he's like, I can't even probably believe I'm even saying the word hail. I can't believe it. But hey, respect where respect is due. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to a little bit of the NFL. We're just going to quickly review just a few games that had some playoff significance, and we're going to go backwards this week. We're going to start with TJ here. Big game between the Titans and the Jaguars, which was really for the playoff life of the Jaguars, and boy, did they fall short.
Yeah, that game, I was very interested to see how the Jaguars would come out and play. They knew they had to play for their spot in the playoffs, and I don't know. I think Tennessee wanted it more, and it was funny just to watch Tennessee, in that very last play, Trevor Lawrence, try to take the ball up and try to cross the goal line. But I don't know, Jacksonville they're not very smart, and that's a game that I'm glad it's over. I'm glad that neither team got in the playoffs, but at the same time, it's kind of weird not hearing Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs.
So, Marco, you think is Trevor Lawrence I'm not saying bust. Don't take me wrong here, but I mean, I think we got to take Trevor Lawrence down a few pegs after this season, right?
You can, but I think, yeah, sure. But I don't think their defense was particularly good. I think that Doug Peterson might be warming up his seat. So I'm not going to say that he's, I'm not going to put him down a peg if we're not ready to put Justin Herbert down a peg, right? So I don't know where you're going to put Trevor Lawrence in the hierarchy of AFC quarterbacks. Clearly, CJ Stroud has come up to the top, with the Mahomes, with the Allens. But I think the Jags will be back unless they have to do something with their payroll, which I'm not too familiar with. They will be back, and you just can't win them all.
So after this week, Brandon, the Titans, they won the game, and next day fire Vrabel. I mean, what was your reaction to that? I was personally pretty surprised.
I mean, I kind of saw it coming. There was talks of that year of him leaving Tennessee, and if that were to be so, he would be a pretty good front runner for the head coaching position for New England, because the whole Belichick situation. I think everybody in New England knew where that needed to go, but the sports world, sports media, they had their their respects to think he wouldn't leave, but it was time. It needed to happen. But I think Tennessee, they came out and they played spoiler. They wanted it more, and I think if the Jaguars are going to be any contender moving forward, I think Trevor Lawrence needs to work on his decision making late in games. I mean, that last throw to lose the game was just not even close. I mean, I don't know what you were thinking on that throw, but it's not the first time he's done that. I mean, he was lucky enough that Brandon Staley had a horrible coaching job in the second half, and he was able to come back from his 4 interceptions that he threw. But how that luck's not going to go forever. Like
All right, well, moving off Titans Jags, Bacon. Let's get on the Bears Packers. Packers win 17-9 in a pretty uneventful NFC North finale. What was I think Love played a really good, efficient game. They set him up for success and really kind of picked apart that Bears zone defense.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It wasn't the most eventful. I mean, it was great for us Packer fans, and it was great to be there in person. But like my wife was watching the replay a couple times in the last week, and I was just like, I don't really need to watch the rest of it, because with the exception of just a couple drives, there wasn't really a whole heck that went on. I thought, the last few weeks, I think has proven how huge a healthy Aaron Jones is. I mean, I think the fact that he was back helped out a lot, helps Jordan Love out a lot. And I mean, Jordan Love played a very efficient game, very good game, with the exception of really his only mistake was that fumble on the scramble. So I think he was like 25 of 31 or something. I mean, so great numbers, and the defense showed up, which I think was probably even the biggest thing. I mean, I had a feeling the Packers were going to be able to do something offensively against the Bears, even though their defense is a hell of a lot improved over since week 1. But the fact that the Packers defense was able to kind of contain Justin Fields and make sure he didn't get any of his big plays where he's able to scramble and things like that, I think that was key also. And even there were a few times where the Bears looked like they might show some life on offense and start making made some plays to start driving the ball, and the defense was able to shut down and force them to kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns. So
I think that the Bears are missing their starting center. Not to mention that like 3 plays into the game, their starting right guard goes out with a foot injury. So basically, that A gap. I mean, dude, you guys were getting so much pressure up the A gap all day long, just right in the middle. The Bears are a pretty decent run between the tackles team. Like they can get some zone blocking schemes that will really get the running game going, but. Again, they just couldn't get that going, and eventually, once you play defense long enough and you're out there on the field for 30, 35 minutes, that's pretty rough. So
yeah.
Next game, let's get on to Brandon. Let's go Texans Colts. CJ Stroud coming up big again. I mean, we got a season full of the rookie. Are you a believer?
Absolutely. See, if he goes out and wins against this Cleveland Brown defense, I think we are going to be start talking about CJ Stroud and getting his first year as a rookie, and he's going to be in an elite status already, potentially into an elite status if he goes out and plays. That That was a huge game in that hostile environment. I mean, that place was rocking. The fans were into it, and he just showed why he's been CJ Stroud this year, and I think he's going to continue that into the playoffs. But yeah, that kid is special. That throw he made off back foot scrambling. I mean, the kid makes it look so easy, and he's only a rookie. Like, that's the craziest thing.
So, TJ, did you expect the Texans to beat the Colts at home in this winner go home scenario? I mean, going into Indianapolis, and this is not me just being a homer. That place gets loud. I've never been to, like, when the old Hoosier Dome, and again, I don't want to be a boomer, like, get back in the day, but that place would be as loud as any stadium in the entire NFL. It was absolutely deafening. And Lucas Oil Stadium is not quite that, but it's still super loud in there for any road team.
You know, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I kind of saw this coming. DeMeco Ryans has been fairly hot with this team.
Yeah.
The Texans have been on a good roll. CJ Stroud's, starting to prove himself. And, I think, Brandon kind of nailed it. If CJ wins this game against the Browns, who have a very good defense, potentially I could see him being up there in semi-elite, not very elite, but like he's on the cusp of being an elite quarterback in only his rookie season. So, going into Indy, did I see Indy losing? No, I thought it was going to be a really good game. Honestly, I think, like I said 3 weeks ago, Gardner Minshew does not last long. The Minshew magic loses after a certain amount of time, and all that luster just leaves. So I think he lost his luster. It's the final game of the season. Texans won it out, and I'll be honest with you, that celebration that the Texans had in their locker room after was just so fun. Like, I wanted to be in that locker room dancing with them because it was just all the emotion with DeMeco Ryans and with CJ Stroud was amazing. So, yes, I thought the Texans were going to win this, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a blowout.
In Minshew's defense, and I'm not just saying that because when I grow the mustache, people say that he favors me. How do you leave your best running back on the bench, on the sideline, and you throw the ball to a guy with the season on the line on fourth down to a guy that's got 6 receptions all season?
But in his defense, though, if you just hit him in stride and where he doesn't have to turn around and reach down for it, I mean, I can't put.
But you put it in the hands. You don't need him to score the touchdown. You hit him in the hands.
He puts it in his fingertips. If you just, like TJ said, that Minshew magic just goes away. Late time, you have to have it. All you have to do is hit him in stride. That's all you have to do. He's wide open. He's going for a minute. If you just hit him in stride where he doesn't have to turn around.
I would also argue that if you're on an NFL roster, I'm sorry, like, you're not a scrub. You're not some dude that is going on there dirt, and dudes drop balls. It's part of the game. We've seen it in big moments where people like. And
I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah, that was one of those moments for the Colts of like, no. So, Marco, kind of filling on the last one. You and Bacon, Bills and Dolphins. Bills thumped them, man. They just gave it to them and said basically, you don't got a chance to win this division. So, Bacon kind of starts off. Is that what you thought was going to happen? Do you think Miami at home was gonna put a little more fight up?
I thought they were. Yeah, I thought they would put a little more fight up. I still thought the Bills, if I had to put money on the game, I would have taken the Bills. But Miami just looks like a shell of themselves. Like what we saw at the beginning of the season. That 70-20 win seems like last season. I mean, it doesn't even seem like it happened this season looking at the way they play now. Everyone talks about, this explosive offense. Really? I haven't seen it. Have we seen it in the last 5 weeks? They got bitch slapped a couple weeks ago by the Ravens. Was it 56-13? I mean, I think they they're going to be out this week. As far as I know, we're getting to our previews later, but yeah, it didn't shock me that the Bills won. It did shock me that it seemed like the Dolphins just. It was almost like they knew they were in the playoffs already. We don't need to win the division. It was like, what? I don't know. Yeah, I was disappointed. I was hoping for a better game than what they put up. And I know they do have I see one of the comments, a lot of injuries. I know they have a lot of injuries. I get that. But yeah, I was disappointed at their level, frankly, at their level of effort.
It seemed like that game as well just seemed like it was injury after injury. Like you couldn't go 4 plays without somebody getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like that was one of those games where it was just like, screw it. We go out. We're still in the playoffs no matter what. Just seeding right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Miami showed you exactly who they've been all year, just like the Eagles.
No.
Yeah.
True.
All right. So moving off of Week 18 is that once we know that once that last game on Sunday is over, that means that a lot of coaches got to worry about whether they've got a job or not. And this year, the coaching carousel, man, this is crazy. Before we get to the NFL, I think this is probably the biggest out of everything, and a super surprise about Nick Saban announcing his retirement from college football. And I was when I saw that, I was like, no way, I couldn't believe it. And just kind of going around the horn, starting off, Marco. Did you have the same reaction I had, where you're like, whoa, I couldn't believe it?
I'll be honest, and maybe because we don't see Nick Saban lose a lot, but at the end of the game, he didn't seem too intense about when they lost to Michigan. Like he didn't seem like he kind of seemed like a guy that was like, I don't know, set. Like he knew he was going to do this a while ago, and I just feel like maybe he's lost the fire and he's just he was just done. So I was not surprised to hear that Saban stepped down. I am a little bit surprised Belichick isn't that he wanted to go out like that. I watched the press conference with him and Kraft, and it was clear. They said that he's going to be back coaching on the opposing sideline, so he's definitely on the market. I think Saban just rides off into the sunset and does whatever he does. And the most surprising one for me was the Vrabel and Carroll. I think those two guys are, I felt like the Seahawks were competitive in their division and they were trying to go in the right direction. Definitely think that the Titans just need a couple more pieces. They have the quarterback. What that team would be completely different if they still had AJ Brown. And so I was a little bit shocked by that one.
So Brandon, again, your coach who's been there for the past 23 seasons, finally out. It's not. You said earlier in the show that you were like, "Thank God." Give us your perspective. Why do you have that point of view?
So he gave us a great 20 years. Like we are probably the most spoiled fan base in the world. It's been a great 20 years.
Amen.
But unfortunately, this was almost 3 years too late.
Amen.
I think he should have been honestly moved or traded last year after that season. After what he gave Mac Jones to deal with, your offensive coordinator and your QB coach. I mean, I think that was good enough as itself to just say, okay, we really need to look into going somewhere else.
Amen.
But like we said, like I said before, it was going to come down to whether he was going to give up that GM role. And I don't think they were supposed to have a meeting. They sat Monday. They were supposed to meet Tuesday. Didn't happen. They met Wednesday. So I think they knew where this was going, but I think they just needed to sit down and talk about it. I mean, because after that game in Germany, it was pretty well put out that if we lost that game, Belichick's future was probably non-existent in New England. And lo and behold, we end up losing that game. And the talk kind of went down a little bit. But, yeah, I think it's a long time coming. Now, the biggest decision is, do you go with Gerard Mayo or do you go with Mike Vrabel? Vrabel, you kind of know what you're getting. You're going to get a really tough team. He does really well with his quarterbacks and his teams. So you know ahead of time. And we have a defense. We have a top 10 defense that doesn't get talked about because of how horrendous our offense is in special teams. So I think you know what you're getting with Vrabel. Mayo, you don't really know what you're getting. He kind of has to preach craft, his ideas, and the players have to buy into that. So it's, do you take a chance with Mayo and maybe give him the GM spot or make him a defensive coordinator? That's a decision. But I think the smarter move would be to go with Vrabel, because I think he'll help us out in this draft. And you can't mess this draft up for us, at least. Looking ahead, you can't mess this draft up with these kids in this draft this year. There's so many options and so many places that you can start a good rebuild with. So
what pick do the Patriots have?
3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So, if Marvin Harrison goes that far, I think he's going to go 2. I think Commanders are going to take him. I don't think they're going to take Drake May at 2, because I don't think they need a quarterback. I mean, the quarterback was just leading the league in passing yards. So, is it him or is it, the team he has around him? So
sorry.
All right, TJ, CJ. So again, what are your opinions about some of these moves? Anything that super surprised you, or are a lot of these moves like, yeah, I kind of thought so?
So first thing, that Bieniemy thing is completely false. Same thing that I said. Pete Carroll or Jim Harbaugh is going to Seattle. Mark my words. But no. So I think the biggest one for me was definitely Saban. Like I've got a bunch of buddies who are Bama fans. I was actually texting them through the day, being like, "Are you guys okay? Like, you're still around? You're still breathing? You're still kicking?" But I think the Saban thing kind of threw me off for a curve. We all knew Belichick. Middle of the season, they said they were going to part ways. Mutually part ways. The Vrabel one did come at a bit of a surprise as well. That one, I think, when the whole Belichick thing happened, in the back of my mind, I kind of knew Vrabel was going to leave, but I wasn't sure if it was like maybe after another season. So that one was kind of topsy-turvy for me. But Pete Carroll, he's getting old. A lot of the players really aren't in favor of Pete Carroll anymore. They put up with him. They just don't like him. But I think the one that really upsets me the most was Antonio Pierce. I mean, that dude had the Raiders rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, it just pierces out, which is so stupid. But,
But it's very Raider. Isn't it very Raider? I mean, come on.
That's almost like Philly, Dallas style.
So with Tom Brady in the behind the scenes, does he make a play for Harbaugh, the Michigan guy, or is he going to make a play for his guy, Belichick, knowing that Belichick's going to want a little bit of be in his ear or the ear of the GM. He's going to want a little bit of power. He's going to want a little bit of buy the groceries and do the cooking. Do you think there's a chance that either of those guys end up in Vegas?
I'd say Harbaugh. I think that's going to be the one that may have that one, because I don't think Belichick would want to go over to Vegas. I don't know. I'd say Harbaugh is the one that does it.
And not to mention when you got you got Tom Brady in ownership of with the Raiders, and I don't think Belichick and Brady are trying to reconnect to do much of anything, to be quite honest. Bacon. So there are a lot of coaching jobs out there.
Mm-hmm.
You got Seahawks, the Titans, Falcons, Commanders, Chargers, Raiders. Real quick before I ask you your question, not the Bears. Flus is around.
Yeah,
they confirmed that.
Yeah.
So Belichick's on the market. All these open jobs. Where do you think he lands?
No one's talked about a team like, what about Washington? I mean, I don't, unless
Bieniemy gets that.
You're looking. You think Bieniemy gets that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess the Jets are another one. I think we were talking about because somebody on our group chat today said they heard that maybe there was a team that hasn't fired their coach yet that might be going after Belichick or thinking about it. And I think somebody mentioned talked about the Giants. You know, I could see the Jets, even though he's the only coach that's ever been a coach of the Jets twice and actually never coached a game. But you know, I could see them making a play for him. But you know, to go through the coaches here. First of all, Saban shocked me, and I will say, I know we all talked about, or we'd all heard about Belichick for weeks that he was going to be gone. I think Troy or somebody in our group chat mentioned about, you know, the idea of what about Belichick going down and being the defensive coordinator in Alabama. And I knew that was never going to happen, but I was kind of intrigued by it. I'm not going to lie. I was like, you know, they're both friends. I would have loved to have kind of seen that. And then I think that night is when everybody found out that Saban retired. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess we never will see that, even though I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but I kind of wanted to. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I was surprised at Saban. Vrabel, I think Tennessee, the ownership there is stupid for letting him go, but maybe he wanted to, because maybe, you know, he really wants to be in New England. I could totally see that. Pierce, I think Las Vegas, but again, that's a very Raider thing to do. I thought he had earned it, but just like somebody made a comment a couple minutes ago here, Vegas should have never moved on from Rich Bisaccia. I thought he earned the right to at least have that job for a full season. I thought he did a hell of a job. And they do the same thing to Antonio Pierce. I mean, he had that team. Devontae Adams was fully on board. I thought Devontae was going to ask for a trade before they named Antonio Pierce as the interim coach. And, you know, he had them, even though they weren't necessarily winning, but they seemed to give a damn, which they didn't seem to give a damn before, you know, and that's kind of one of the biggest things, one of the biggest battles sometimes you have to do with these guys. Pete Carroll, I would say the only thing that surprises me about him is that he was asked right after the game, right after their last game on, what was it, Sunday? And he said he's going to be back. So that was, and all of a sudden, like 2 days later, he's gone. And I was like, oh, well, I obviously that wasn't his choice, but you know, maybe they came to some mutual agreement and he's staying on as advisor or whatever. But yeah, I guess to now stop rambling and get back to your original question there. Belichick, I mean, I could see him going to Vegas with the Brady connection. Yeah, I do feel like whatever team he goes to, he's gonna want an established quarterback. And I'm trying to think of all the Chargers. You know, unless maybe
Chargers.
Probably Chargers.
Yeah, probably the Chargers. I guess would be the best.
Allen,
yeah, the
defense.
That would be the best one. But you know, I've heard Harbaugh's name linked to both the Chargers and to the Raiders. I'm going to say this right now. I think he stays in Michigan. I may be the only one in America that thinks that, but I think he has something going there. And to me, one of the things I've always hated about Pete Carroll is that when he left USC hanging, and I'm not a USC fan at all, but he knew what was going on. He left them hanging and then acted like he had no idea. And to me, he looked like a bitch. And so to me, if Jim Harbaugh does that, I really don't understand how the NCAA can go after somebody for buying a couple cheeseburgers for some recruits. I mean, I know that's like their next big thing to go after, you know, but I don't see him.
You're right.
I just don't see him leaving them hanging like that. I totally don't even know who Jim Harbaugh is, but I feel like he's more of a stand-up person than some of these other coaches are. And
so keep this in mind, the Vrabel thing too. Yeah. I know some people say it's shocking, but if you really think about this, he was asked after he got inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame if he would ever consider coming back if, you know, the head coaching spot was up for grabs. He did not say no. And from what was being told, the ownership did not like that at all. That he didn't say no when asked that question. So I think that maybe had a little bit to do with them getting rid of him, with that being in the back of their mind, like, oh, so, you know, we kind of know that the Patriots are moving on from New England. Belichick's moving on from New England, sorry. So, you know, that was interesting when I saw that they ownership had that in the back of their mind. And then lo and behold, we see Vrabel get released.
Yeah. No, who's watching Facebook that can tell me? Is this Troy or who said
That's
this?
Troy.
Troy.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
I will say this, and I'm assuming he's talking about Harbaugh. Michigan will give Harbaugh anything that any NFL team would give him. I'm sorry, and I know what he's saying, and I totally agree that money does talk. But if that's the case, I don't think any NFL team can give him or would be willing to give him the same amount that Michigan would, because I think Michigan would back up a freaking Brinks truck and just be like, here you go, here's a bunch of $100 bills you can sleep in. I mean,
And like you said, the culture that they built too already, like in his 3 years that he's been back, I mean, to build that up and then to just leave. I mean, now that Saban's gone, you have a chance to now you could be the man of college football. Like you could be the team of college football now. So that's
But the 600-pound gorilla in the room is the fact that there might be some NCAA sanctions that come down, and then his players go to the portal because they don't want to be not bowl eligible for the next 2-3 years, because the NCAA is notorious for just pulling stuff out of their hats and punishing teams. And he got suspended and they won. Yeah. But if they levy some inability to play and win titles, then you're going to see some players, hightail it out of there. And so why can't the coach? And why can't the coach?
See, I think this is where I agree with Aaron. If anybody were to leave because sanctions come out, it's a bitch move. You did your mistakes. You did the naughty, whatever. Dude, you did the time, or you did the crime, do your time. Screw it. That's all it is. And
that's why, to me, the NCAA is a freaking joke. I mean, I love watching college football. I love watching college basketball. I love all that stuff. I watch for the players and the teams and the traditions and all those and the rivalries. But the NCAA as an organization is a freaking joke. Right. And the fact, just like the guy in the one unnamed executive or coach or whatever in Alabama after Michigan won made a comment apparently that he's like with that whole sign stealing controversy. He's some guy from one. I can't remember if it was a coach for Alabama or somebody said, they didn't do anything that every other team isn't trying to do. And it reminded me of, and real quick, Brad, because I know you probably we got more topics to talk about, but it reminded me of, if you guys have ever seen the 30 for 30 on ESPN about SMU. It was, I think, one of their first seasons. It was called Pony Excess, and it was talking about, which I absolutely, that's one of my favorite 30 for 30 episodes. And one thing that everybody said, like whether it was what the hell is the guy's the reporter from Everybody Hates from Dallas. Guys, anyone help me out here?
Edward?
No, not Edward. No, not Edward. Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless was one of them because he was covering that whole thing back then for the Dallas Morning News. And he was saying, and everybody else was saying, every team in Texas was doing exactly what SMU was doing. The NCAA gets a chubby for one team and one school every once in a while, and they just stick with that team over and over and over again. Michigan right now is that way. UNLV with Tarkanian and basketball used to be that. They pick. It's like they pick someone out of a hat. And SMU back then pissed some people off because they beat Texas, and so all of a sudden they were in the crosshairs. And now Michigan, because they were down for so long, now they're good again. Oh, now they're in the crosshairs. And I'm not even a Michigan fan. I'm a Badger fan. But I think right now, if you're going to go after him, and now you put up some report that you sent to University of Michigan about this damn cheeseburger gate or whatever it was. I don't know, it was quarter pounders or what exactly it was. But like, is that what you're really going to go after him for? Come on, grow up. Anyway.
Preach. Moving on to our last topic of the day is that we've got playoff football coming up, boys. We got some real men's games coming up this weekend. So starting off the weekend at the 4:30 Saturday game, we got Browns at the Texans, and the Browns are favored by you got the line at 3. Last I looked, it was 2. So we got 43.5 over under. We'll just kind of get a quick 10 seconds around the horn, 10, 20 seconds each around the horn. Start with TJ. Who you got in this game? Browns, Texans. Quick reason why.
So I'm going to take the over on this one. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Joe Flacco, January Joe, is going to play lights out, but I think C.J. Stroud's going to be that rookie that shows he's meant to be. So I'm going to take the Texans 35, the Browns 31.
All right, Brandon, what you got, bud?
I think I got Texas in this one. I think Stroud. I think they're gonna have. It may not be a late game drive, but they're gonna have a defining drive for this team that's gonna win them this game. Something's just keeps pulling me to this Texas team, even though the Browns are coming in super hot, and Joe is playing outrageous. But I'm gonna take Houston. And I'm going to take the under. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, like 20-17 or 17-14. I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring game.
Mr. Hot Take, what you got, buddy?
Defense. I'll take the Browns on this one. I also think the elite Joe Flacco will probably drive them down to win a game that'll probably hit the under as well. Give me something like a 2017 as well.
And Bacon.
I'm going with the Texans just because they're, this to me could have been a pick 'em. They're at home. Both teams are pretty hot, but I can't bet against CJ Stroud right now. I just love the kid. He's fun to watch. I say it's going to be a close game, though, like 27-24 Texans.
Well, I can bet against C.J. Stroud. That Cleveland Browns defense is
tough.
Crazy, dude. They are great. They're top 3 defense in the league. I think they're going to give the rookie fits. I really do. And again, you got a playoff veteran like Joe Flacco, who again he's not going to light the world on fire. He's not fancy. He'll get you your 200, 250 yards passing. He'll keep the chains moving. And I think that's going to keep the Texans on the sidelines. I like the Browns 24-17. Going on to game 2, starting with Brandon. Dolphins at the Chiefs. All right, in frozen KC, Chiefs favored by 3.5, and I saw another line at 3.5. This is Saturday night game on NBC's Peacock.
5.
Yeah, they got it at.
Oh, yeah. It moved from when I put this together before, and it's at 4.5 off of actionnetwork.com.
Yeah.
And they gather all sorts of stuff. So I got a lot of 4.5s on like points bets and stuff. So the line has moved.
Yeah. God, this is a hard one because both teams are playing bad football recently. So as much, God, I'm going to take the Chiefs. I don't want to. Something's just pulling because they're at Arrowhead. Miami's been playing horrible. They can't beat anybody with a winning record. As much as I would love to see the Chiefs lose because the way their season's going, but I think they're going to pull it out, and I think they're going to blow them out. I think it's going to be over, and I'm going to take KC on the over.
Wow.
All right, TJ, do you like the over?
So I like the over as well, and I think KC's going to bring some chopsticks out and eat some sushi, make some dolphin sushi with this frozen tundra. I honestly think KC is going to click, and they're going to show Tyreek why he never should have left. I'm going to take Kansas City. I say 35-13.
Bacon. Who you got in this matchup?
Well, like I said earlier, Dolphins just don't impress me at all. Whether it's the injuries or whatever it is, I think they're done, and I think it's not really going to be close either. I would take the over, and I'll say 31-17 Kansas City.
All right, to the Chiefs' kingdom.
Chiefs 99, Dolphins -2, which will be the temperature. Look, they had to go out and sign Houston. Their linebackers are going to be, their youngest linebacker might be 35. You're going to see classic Travis Kelce. You're going to see dump passes that start as screens and go for 1,000,000 yards. Who's going to cover Pacheco? They're too hurt. The Dolphins are just too hurt. And then it's just going to be cold. And I have to go back and see how Tyreek did in the cold when he was in Kansas City. But again, in Germany, we shut him down. He had 40 yards, 35 yards. And I know that was a long time ago. But yeah, Kansas City, the place is going to be loud. It's going to be so cold. And you're just going to see some classic 2022 Chiefs out there scoring lots of points.
Yeah, we all know that when it comes to cold playoff games, the Dolphins suffer from what we maybe call shrinkage. They kind of tuck into the turtle shell a little bit, get a little cold, and butthole gets a little puckered up, and I think the Chiefs are gonna definitely handle the Dolphins. Their defense is decimated. And again, they're just not a cold weather team. They've never played well in cold weather. No, I don't care who's been on the rosters of the Dolphins. It's never turned out well. I like the under. I like this game at another maybe 21-17, 21-14. But definitely I see the Chiefs handling business. Going into Sunday afternoon, Troy would love to hear about this one. We got Steelers at the Bills. Bills -10 in the playoffs, a double-digit spread. We'll go backwards this time. Marco, what do you got with the Bills and Steelers?
I mean, if you're giving me the 10, I'll take Pittsburgh, but because the Bills are the hot team and they're catching fire and they're clicking on all cylinders, yada, yada, yada. But there are those pesky Steelers. And I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team. I'm not saying that they're going to, do anything outrageous. They got some quarterback issues. I don't feel confident with Mason Rudolph, at the helm. But if you're giving me the points, I'll take the Steelers. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a field goal game. And I'll take the under because I think it's going to be miserable. I think there's still going to be snow falling on the ground in that game. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I don't want to be there. So yeah. And looks like looks like I got some changing on that. It looks like the over under might be down as low as 35.5. So they're not expecting a lot of action to go there, and not a lot of action on Pittsburgh's end.
Bacon, who do you got in this game?
Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is TJ Watt out? Has he been ruled out? Okay.
He's been ruled out.
I mean, either way, I think 10 is a little high for a Mike Tomlin coach Steelers team. He always seems to have them come, ready to play in the playoffs. I do think Bills win. I would agree. I think I'd take the under. And I would say something like maybe if the spread is still 10 in favor of the Bills, I would say take the Steelers with the points, but Bills win 20-13.
Cowboy Capone, what you got, bro?
After watching the Steelers play the Ravens and the Ravens played their third string, I'm not impressed by the Steelers at all. I think the Bills are going to run over this game. Do I think it's going to be like a straight just bloodbath? No. But I think it's going to be one of those games that's going to be hard-hitting. It's going to be very physical. I'm definitely taking the under on this one. I'm going to say it's going to be 17-10. I mean, very low scoring. And as Troy said, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Try to throw a football on 40-mile-an-hour winds. It may come back and smack you in the face.
And by the way, let me just say, too, before we go to Brandon here, if they move this game, then football has completely changed from me. I mean, like unless there's some kind of a horrible storm, like a hurricane or something like that, I can see it. But if all you're worried about is strong winds and some snow, come on, man.
The people got to get to the game. The safety of the civilians. Come on, Führer. The safety of the civilians.
Hey, the Packers and the Buccaneers played back in like 1985, what they called a Snow Bowl, where there was, I mean, all right.
Who played it again? Who was the Snow Bowl? Which was the Snow Bowl?
I believe it was the Buccaneers. It was at Lambeau. That was like the one game I remember in the 80s that my dad did not go to because we couldn't get there. So what?
Four.
That's
not 1, 4.
It's the first one today. It's the first one today.
We're all together.
All right, Brandon, Steelers, Bills, brother, who you got?
Man, I don't think this is going to be an exciting game to watch between these two, but I got Pittsburgh. I think this year's playoffs is going to be crazy. You could be seeing a lot of big names leave early and a lot of, kind of questionable names like he's moving on. Because everybody knows Josh Allen could be Josh Allen. I mean, that second interception he had was absolutely atrocious. And you can't do that in the playoffs. You turn the ball over in the playoffs, you're losing. And Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin. And they can just be that nitty grindy Steelers team for a day. They have a good chance. But I'm taking the under, and I'm going to take the Steelers.
All right, we're going to start back the other way with the 4:30 game on Sunday.
Wait, did you give your pick, Brad?
Oh, I guess
No.
I'm taking the Bills. I don't think that minus TJ Watt. I don't want to say he's the only guy in that Steelers defense that's any good, but at the same time, like they're not that great. So I think that missing TJ Watt is just, it's the coup de grace, the icing on the cake. Sorry, see you next year. And not to mention, Pittsburgh still doesn't have a QB on their roster, so it's going in with the subpar QB and your best pass rusher gone. I think they're done. So yeah, we'll start off with you, Bacon. A little bit of Green Bay Dallas action in Dallas. Dallas favored by 7. Over under is 48.5. I know who you're gonna pick.
It's actually 50.
Well, yeah. Put this. Let me just say this: if I was actually putting money on this game, I would if I had to bet it to pay the rent or something like that, I would pick. I'd probably still take the Packers, but not to win, just to at least with the points. I think the Packers are going to keep this game close. Every game this year that they've been picked to get blown out, whether it was like Kansas City or I think the Thanksgiving game against the Lions was a pretty big point spread. They've either won or they've at least kept it close. I think they keep the game close. But I think this reminds me a lot of a few years ago when they went to the AFC or NFC championship game against Atlanta. And it was one of those where I think that was the year that Atlanta lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And Atlanta's offense was so high powered that everybody knew, okay, if the Packers don't score on a certain drive, like they pretty much have to score on every drive or they're screwed. And I kind of almost feel that way this time. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the defense comes to play. I hope they show up like they did against Kansas City and against Detroit. But this game worries me that it's going to be a shootout, and I'm just not sure if the Packers have everything that they need. So I'll say this. I'm going to take. I hate to do this, but I'm going to say Dallas, but I think it's going to be like 30-27. I think it's going to be a close game, and the Packers still have a chance to pull it out then if it's close. But let me just ask real quick, TJ. If the Packers pull this off and move their record at AT&T Stadium to 6-0 all time, is McCarthy gone and do you bring Belichick into Dallas as a Cowboy fan? I know you said you thought that would be kind of a shitty move, if by Jerry Jones, but this is going to be your year, for Dallas. You should at least make the NFC Championship game. So, what were your thoughts on that?
So I'm pretty sure I'm the one that said that.
Well, no, you were the one that said it would be a
shitty move.
It would be a shitty move, but why? I mean, I like Big Mike, but I mean, he's had a few chances now, and this by far is their best chance to at least make the NFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl, I think.
Could you imagine Belichick next year when Trayvon comes back in that defense? Oh my.
By the way, my wife just told me I'm dead to her because I picked the Cowboys. She can hear me upstairs. We're right above her bedroom. Sorry, honey.
If Dallas loses, okay, I do see them getting rid of Mike McCarthy.
Okay.
I don't think they would go after Belichick. It would be a good pickup if they did, but I don't see it. But I'm with Brandon. Belichick with that defense with Trayvon Diggs coming back and the possibility.
Parsons. Oh my
Well, and the
That's what I'm saying.
possibility.
That's what I'm saying. Otherwise, who else would you go after? You just keep Mike
Micah
McCarthy
would
if you
never
can't get
be.
Belichick.
He would
but
never cover anybody. Belichick would say, "Listen, you're a hound. I'm going to unleash you. Just go. Just be a TJ Watt."
So yeah, but you want my thing for this game? Okay, cool. That 50.5, whatever. Yeah, I'm taking the over on that one. All right, because the game that Dallas had against Washington was phenomenal. There were some mess ups, but hey, nobody's perfect in the NFL. I'm going to say this right now. If Mike McCarthy is who he says he is, in the pregame interview that they had with him today, he said, I don't care about who I was before or who I coached. He goes, I'm a Cowboy and I will forever be a Cowboy. And Jerry Jones is putting a lot on him right now. So I'm taking Dallas. I think they're going to win 42-21. And it's going to be just a straight smacking up and down the field.
okay, well, just so you know, if you want to see Des Bryant drop the ball again, you might want to turn on NFL Network. I want to let you know that. Anyway, sorry. Go.
Marco, what do you think, dude? It's a big matchup in the NFL.
Deron Bland has 2 pick sixes and has more touchdowns than Packer receivers. Give me Dallas. Undefeated at home, not going to change this weekend. They've handled all of their double-digit lines this year. The Dallas is the scariest team out there right now, and and the Packers are not. And so I would like to see the Packers lose to a guy who they have a street named after in their town. So Mike McCarthy gets past this round.
And Brandon.
This could be another game where you see a quarterback that's not supposed to win. I mean, it's all going to come down to McCarthy's late game decisions. Because, man, the way the Cowboys have played the Packers in their recent games, in their last 5-6 games, it's been close, but they've taken an L. The Packers own the Cowboys when it comes to playoffs. So I'm going to take the Packers, and I'm going to take the under on this. Give me the Packers. Go a little upset.
You know what? I'm changing my pick. Packers 30-7.
Look at him go.
Hey, Brandon, fuck you. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving.
Hey,
How about you, Brad?
Here's my prediction for the week is really just 3 words. No, Pack, no. And so, I definitely got Dallas in this. I'll take the under. I don't think they'll get any kind of crazy, but man, Dallas, when they play at home, man, their offense is high octane, and their defense plays at another level. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Sunday night game on NBC, we got the Rams at Detroit, the reuniting of Stafford going back to play golf back at the place that he built his career. Brandon, who do you like in this game? What do you like about the matchup?
Ooh, you could. As much as I want to see the Lions, I think Stafford's going to come back and he's going to beat Detroit in Detroit, and it's not going to be a good look for them. It'll be a great look for Stafford's going to love it because he just beat a team he was never able to go that far or have any chance with at all in his career with. So I think he comes back, and I think the Rams. I take the under on this one. I don't think this game is going to be high either. But I'll take the Rams, and I'm taking Stafford coming back home and beating.
What do you think, Marco? You agree with them? Do you think
No.
Stafford's going to come in there and handle business like the old days?
Nope. I think Detroit is they have their eyes on the prize and they hold on. I know they struggle late in games a couple times this season. I will take the over. I think it's going to stay close. I think Aaron, we're going to have a script. We're going to see a lot of referee interference on this one to keep the viewers engaged. But Detroit's going to come away with this one. They're the chosen NFC darlings, and LA's time is up. So I'll take Detroit in a convincing victory. 37-28.
Ooh, TJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I got Detroit. I mean, I love Stafford. I love what he's done with the Rams. He won a Super Bowl with them. He wasn't able to do that with the Lions, but Detroit's just gritty, And I'm kind of liking how they play. I mean, they gave Dallas a good run for their money in AT&T Stadium. I mean, that was a game that I don't even think Dallas should have won. But yeah, I'm not going to take the over on this one. I'm going to take the under, and I think this is going to be more of like a. I'm going to say 28-24 game. Oh, that might be over. I'm bad at math. But yeah, I'm going to take Detroit.
All right, Bacon. Who you got? Rams or Lions?
Yeah, I think I think Detroit at least is like Marco said. I think this is their year at least to win the first round. I mean, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Cleveland Detroit Super Bowl. But anyway, I think it's going to be 24-17 Detroit. I think it'll be under, but yeah, I think Campbell will have them ready to play.
Man, I think I got to take the Rams in the under. The reason I'm taking the Rams first is that Kyron Williams is the hottest running back in the league, and the Lions have been kind of struggling stopping the run. So he's I think that's going to be able to allow them to just be able to kind of play the ball control game and kind of maybe take the home crowd out of it, to be able to kind of take some of the gas and the pizzazz and stuff out of the environment and take them out. So I like the Rams in this 24-23. Last game is a Monday night playoff game, and this is the Eagles, who have sunk from their 11-1 start, and they're playing on the road at Tampa Bay. Tampa is still I've got a 3-point underdog at home. So, man, I mean, really, if you think they always say by betting, you get 3 points for being at home, and they're still down by another 3. So I'd really be like, they think they would be, if they were at a neutral site, like a 6-point favor. I mean, Marco, how do you see that kind of favorite going into this playoff game with the way that they've ended this season?
They know something in Vegas, man. They know something in Vegas. But this game, I saw that Hurts hasn't thrown the ball since all week at practice. He hurt his middle finger on his throwing hand. The Tampa Bay defense is tough. That's what's keeping them and got them into the playoffs, because it isn't. They have had some good offensive outbreaks, but I think this is going to be a field goal game on an under, and I don't know who's got the better kicker. Maybe the Eagles have that advantage, but this is going to be one of those games where you're struggling to watch, because it's not going to be a fun. It's going to be like if Hurts can't throw, it's going to be 3 yards in a ball of dust. And Tampa is just not exciting to me. I love Evans. I want Mike Evans to be on the Chiefs ticker, but the Tampa is like the Steelers, teams that are in the playoffs that don't belong in the playoffs, and I'll take the Eagles by 3.
Bacon, what do you got on this one?
Well, to me, I agree. I'm assuming that's Troy that said snooze fest in our comments. I totally agree. I don't know why the hell you put this game on Monday night. I would have thought any other game would have been more enjoyable on a Monday night, but the Eagles just, to see them lose, what was it, 24-0 or whatever to the Giants the last week of the season when they still had a chance to win the division. It's like, do you not have any pride? I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on with that team, but I think I'm taking Tampa, probably still under, and I'll say 2017 Tampa.
Brandon.
I'm torn, because I would like to see the Eagles get it back together and make a run at least. But they're so predictable on offense. It's getting so boring to watch. And if Jalen Hurts can't throw, they're in big trouble. But I'm gonna take the Eagles. I don't think Baker can get it done against that defense. But yeah, I don't. I got the under. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game. And Sirianni could be a hot seat. Whoever just put this comment right there, I was literally about to say, be on the lookout. Don't be surprised if the Eagles fire Sirianni if they lose this game, and you could see Belichick go to the Eagles next season. Another team that has everything Belichick needs to chase Shula's record, which I'm assuming that's the only reason why he's still coaching, is to get that record and to tie Tom with the Super Bowl thing. So that's another thing to watch out for too.
All right, round this out, TJ. Who you got on this last Monday night playoff game?
So I'm ready to listen to the "Cry Eagles Cry" song that's been going around because Philly is just a bunch of frauds, and I think Tampa Bay is going to easily win this game. But I say that, but my score does not say that. So I'm not going to take the over or the under. I'm taking the even. And it's going to be 23-22. Somebody gets a safety.
So you got somebody who loves his Boomer Sooner Baker. Someone loses Boomer Sooner Baker.
So if Belichick is going after the record, right? What is he going to need? 10 wins for 3-4 seasons. He needs 45 wins to meet Shula, 46 to beat him. Does he have 5 years left in him?
Depends on what team he goes to, really.
Man, he's 72. He's 72 right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you going to start over, or are you going to go to like a contender like Dallas or Philly or the Chargers that just need a coach? If they can't get it done, they just need a coach. And
Chargers is probably it.
Who else to get then?
Chargers, you got Bosa and you got Herbert, and you just need another wide receiver. And
So who better to take than arguably the greatest coach of all time? So there's a lot of options he's got this offseason.
All right, to kind of wrap things up, I think I'm gonna take the Bucks. I just don't like the way that the Eagles have been playing. I gotta agree with TJ. Like, in Bacon, like, why are you blowing the division when you've got players that could play? And I just don't. I mean, if you got stuff to play for and you're kind of laying down, just kind of walking into the play, I don't like that vibe going into the playoffs at all. I think the surprise upset will be the Bucks going on to the divisional round next week. Well, to kind of tie things up for our Dads with Bacon channel, thank you for joining in this evening, everybody. Bacon, Marco, Brandon, TJ, appreciate you guys gathering up again tonight, and looking forward to some playoff football. So with this big polar vortex coming in, and a lot of people are going to be cold this weekend, stuck in the house, freezing freezing outside. What's that warm hot meal that you love having at home on a super cold day? Bacon, we know what you got going on up north, up in the Wisconsin chilies. What you got going, dude? You're
He's on mute.
Oh.
No, maybe click on your screen.
I don't understand what you're saying.
You can't unmute you because you muted yourself.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, dude. Marco, you live in Chicago. It's cold there.
It's cold and we're getting snowed on. So, but big chili guy. We got some soups planned, but it's only going to last one day, so everybody will be fine with what we got in the house. And I know the polar vortex next week is coming, but we just do the standard. I'm 11 days into the carnivore diet, so I'll just be eating red meat and enjoying myself, and everybody else can suffer.
All All right, Bacon. Now that we're able to hear you.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
There he is.
No, we can't.
No, I can't. Okay. We're gonna go with chili does sound good, and that's kind of always a go-to. But my wife makes this stuff called simple Salisbury steak. I don't know if you ever had that or not, but I mean it's over rice. It's got some steak with cream of mushroom soup over it and that kind of thing. So that's fantastic. That's what we the kids and I all love it. So
Brandon, what's your cold winter day, man? What are you guys cozying up to?
Man, my wife makes a banging white chicken chili. Oh my goodness.
Yum.
Puts a little sriracha in it, but just enough to give it that heat where you're like, oh, okay, like this has got a little bite, but it's not overly like, oh my God, I can't eat it. Yeah, that, oh my Lord, so good.
That sounds delicious, bro. Like, yeah, I gotta admit, man, I'm a sucker for a good white chicken chili. TJ, over on the East Coast, you eat that bowl of chowder?
So I was gonna say, I'm surprised, Brandon, you didn't say no clam chowder.
Chowder.
No, that clam chowder.
That chili, man.
So mine and my wife's biggest thing for like cold days, we make broccoli cheddar soup, like homemade broccoli cheddar soup in like a bread bowl. Dude, it is amazing. But I think this year is the year that I finally get the chili going, and a really good chili. I found brisket on sale. So it's going to be a very good chili. No beans. So screw anybody that puts beans in their chili.
Bro, what is the hassle with that? I don't understand.
I love it.
Beans belong in chili. Period.
Three beans chili.
It's like pineapple on pizza.
I've got an award-winning chili. I've won awards with the beans in my chili. Okay, so they go there. 100%.
TJ, what are you talking about?
You know what? I'm going to show you guys a song at the end of this, and you're going to understand. So, come on. Let's get this going. I'm done.
Hey,
I know, Benny, and you can make a venison chili, too, if you want. You come up here.
That's true.
Speaking of wives, dude, my wife turned me on to this new soup she made last year. It's called lasagna soup. And it's like a combination of just like ground beef and vegetables, beef stock, and then when you're kind of close to the end, you break up massive chunks of lasagna noodles and then toss them in the crock pot and just let them simmer in there. It's it's like eating the lasagna noodles with a little bit of like Italian soupy combo. It's been pretty good. But again, I don't think we can go wrong on a road trip
to Brad's.
Hey, let's go. Well, hey, from the Dads with Bacon crew, TJ, Brandon, Marco, Bacon. Hey, we're signing off this week. Everybody enjoy the NFL playoffs. Have a great day and stay warm. And everybody, as always, let's go. And
bear down.
Our dad bods. Let's go. Let's work our dad bods this weekend, guys. Father figures. Father figures.
Muscled up kind of man, better look somewhere else. Yeah, I can stand to lose a few pounds, but for right now, I'm working on my dad bod. Oh my God.